One more time, God anoints your word. Have the cause to straighten others. Amen. Now, it's very important we begin to understand the mysteries in Scripture. As I've laid the foundation, that the whole idea of Emmanuel, God coming on earth and taking on the form of our flesh, not only to die for our sins and to restore the kingdom to the sons and daughters of God, but also to serve as a sign. So whatever he did, it is something we can look on, we can look at and emulate. As a matter of fact, it was the greatest apostles of all time, theologian of all time, evangelist of all time, Paul, who said that, imitate me even as I imitated Christ. So in other words, if Paul was alive, Paul could have been known as a copycat of Jesus. And I personally believe that anytime you become a duplicate of something, no matter how expert you are still a duplicate. But you will never get it wrong when you imitate the ultimate man, Jesus Christ, the God of our salvation. So Paul took pride in it, that I am imitating Jesus Christ, so you guys should imitate me. Isn't it amazing that Paul was actually the believer who actually explained and expatiated the whole idea of Calvary? We need to understand that the epistles were written before the gospel. The epistles were instructions that came from the apostles to help the church lead the lifestyle of godliness. The epistles were normally written to correct or to inform and to instruct. The gospels were written to actually keep telling the story of Christ. I want to talk about resting in times of uncertainty. The one who created all things, who sustained all things by the power of his word, was dead, but still the word was going on. You see, there are some of us, we can never rest. Why? Because we think the world revolves around us. There are some of us, in our mind, we've created an image of a Superman. Without me, nothing can get done in my family. So when you look at the death of Christ, it's teaching you a lesson that even Jesus, the one who was sinless, who came to save us, when he died, because it was the plans of God, from time past, before the world began, God had already made provisions for his son's death. So we need to understand the concept of that Saturday. Now, for us to understand, we need to go back to creation. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was still around. And then the Lord said, let there be light, and there was light. He started the aspect of creation. On the fifth day, he created the animals, the trees, and life, and so many things. But on the sixth day, which was the Friday, he created the man and put the man in a garden. And then he told the man to work the garden, to make sure everything is in place. And then he looked and said, all was perfect. It was good. Then on the Saturday, he rested. And then instituted that Saturday should be a rest. He rested from the things he was doing that are visible. And so apart from Jesus dying on the Friday on that painful death, the Saturday was silent. Why? Because he rested in the Lord. And as I was contemplating and thinking through this, God blew my mind. And then God said, David had that same picture. And he took me right back to Psalm chapter 22. And he said in Psalm chapter 22, what was going on was something that happened on the Thursday, on the Friday, in Psalm 22. And God blew my mind again. And he said, do you realize in Psalm 22, David, picked by by prophetic mandate what will happen to the Son of God on that Thursday and Friday. And David began to pen, my Lord, why have you forsaken me? And David began to prophesy. Have you considered Psalm 22? He said, there are bulls all around me. They want to crush me. They pierce my hands. And so David stepped into the spirit. When David was going through problems, when David was confused, David stepped into the spirit and saw what the Son of God will go through. And then he enters into Psalm 23. And Psalm 23 was the Psalm of the Good Saturday. And he said, for years, the church has read Psalm 23 wrongly, because we think Psalm 23, start from Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, the word is even though. So the Lord was not my shepherd because things were perfect. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, the Lord is my shepherd. So the psalm starts from even though death has laid its hands on me, even though I go through challenges, even though I'm going through this, the Lord is my shepherd. Anytime you allow the flesh not to dictate what you do and step into the spirit, you can identify the real enemy. Until you identify the enemy and deal with the enemy, you will keep killing people around you. And so the problem will come. There are a whole lot of people. You can fire as many people as you want. You can marry, divorce, and remarry. But the same problems will come because the enemy who is monitoring your life knows your weakness. When you get somebody new, they can still manipulate the system. And the same issues will begin to appear. And you get to a point in your life and you say, are there some good people here? I thought this man never knew this man. But the same traces of betrayal I saw in my first husband, I am seeing in my second husband. I saw in the third husband. I saw in the fourth husband. Why? Because this is what the enemy have for you. Those people may not know each other, but the enemy knows exactly what will tick you off. And he will use people you love to hurt you the most, as long as you take them as your problem. Until we become like Jesus and say that, God, if this is how I get the situation solved, if this is how I need to pay the price, I need to fight, but not with the soldiers thrashing me, not with those spitting on me, not with those handing the sword, not with even the one who proclaimed that I must die. I need to fight my enemy. And until I die to the flesh, I can never be emancipated in the spirit and walk through the valley of the shadow of death with your rod and your staff. They are comforting me. And then I will see my enemies. Then you lay a table before me in the presence of my enemies. What is the table? What is on the table? That table is the blessings, the purpose God have for you. When you go and see the enemy, the witches and the wizards, the spirits behind all the sudden death in your family, when you visit them in the realms of the spirit, you will know where the greatness of all the family are. You will go and they are feasting with your blessings. Then you will see them and catch them. It is only when you confront the enemy in his stronghold. Jesus understood that his problem were not Judas, the one who betrayed him. He understood that his problem was not Peter, the one who denied him. He understood that Pontius Pilate wanted to set him free, but it wasn't the duty of Pontius Pilate to set him free. He understood that the high priest, they didn't want to kill him. They just wanted to make him silent. And at times people, when they are lying about you, they don't know it may end up destroying you. They thought they were having advantage of you. Some people, when they are lying about you, because they thought you had a car, they wanted the car. They never knew it would drive you to suicide. There are some people, they meant well for you. They thought they were trying to help you, but they end up destroying you. There are some people, they wanted to correct you, but their words were hurtful, and it ended up distorting how you see life. And I came here to tell you, until you forgive them, until you let go and say that, God, show me the real enemy who is sitting on my joy, who is destroying my chances. No wonder some of you can change location, but you can't change your problem. Because the same problem you confronted in Africa, you are confronted in Australia. You thought in Australia nobody hates. Because have you thought that there may be something they have done to your person that attracts certain kind of problems? So by eliminating or changing jobs, it does not exempt you from mistakes. And the church of God needs to be smart. Your greatest way to finding your enemy is to die to the flesh and step up in the spirit. And so Jesus, by creating, said that, man, I am showing some of my nature in even some of my creation. You see, I have I would say, an in-law who is computing. The first time I came to Australia, he gave me a computer, IBM, and then a laptop. And he told me, I heard something. I thought something got destroyed. The thing was blackout. And so I called him, Josh, something happened to it. The screen is off. He said, no. Something is wrong. He said, no, it has gone to hibernation. Deep sleep. And I said, what does it mean? He said, they model it after some birds and some animals. And there are some animals that can go to habitation for years, 6 months. And you think they are dead. And when it happens, it helps them to survive tough terrains and tough weathers. The same way happens to an eagle. It gets to a point, the eagle understands that the storm is going to change. And I cannot still keep fighting with the tools I used to have. So I need to go to a higher dimension. I need to go into secretion. I need to go into rest mode and pull all those things that are not helping me to fight the 21st century war with the 19th century accoutrements. I need to step into another dimension. And it may mean taking some time off. The reason why some of us, we are still pretending we are working and busy, though we are not being productive. We think when we take ourselves off, we will be irrelevant. But the devil is a liar. You need to take some time off. You need to renew your strength. You need to understand that those who wait upon the Lord, those who go into seclusion, those who go into hibernation in the Lord, that is when you say that, God, cover me with your presence. I don't want people to know that I'm still alive. I want them to think I'm dead. I want them to think I'm destroyed. I want them to think I'm sick. I will never recover. And that will give me time to rediscover myself. I have been blinded by things that do not testify. I have lost my way. I have lost my attraction. I have lost my strength. But those who wait upon the Lord. So the Sabbath is a point of saying, God, I let go. You be in control. Where are saints here who will know that it is not of him who willeth, nor him who runneth? It's time we take some time off. He said there is time for everything. And there comes a point in your life. You may be living, but people will take you to be dead. They think you will never recover. They think this is the end of your story. But I came here to tell you that the Good Saturday, so others call them the Black Sabbath. It is a point in your life that evil travail, evil begin to sing. They dance on your grave. They will spit on you. They will say, we've retired him. He will never amount to nothing. And you are resting in the bosom of your Father. And God is telling you what will be relevant for you. Most of us, we are too busy and we have been distracted. But I came here to tell you, we need to rest in God. We need to go back to the drawing table and say it's not about impressing people. It's not about showing that I'm still alive. But it is about going down on my knees and begin to say, God, where did I got it wrong? God, where did I get it wrong? It is only then that the Lord becomes your shepherd. So until you go through the valley of the shadow of death, God will never be your shepherd. So when you go through the valley of the shadow of death, then God becomes your shepherd. And then you can say, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall never want. He walked me through the valley. He walked me through the the path of righteousness for his name's sake. I know I don't deserve this, but God, now I trust in you. All hope is lost. Nobody cares again. I come to you with my tail between my legs. I thought I was the greater thing that happened to me. Everybody was with me, and now everybody have forsaken me. God, I come to you. Unto you I lift up my hands. Where does my help come from? My God, my help comes from God. Oh, I come to a point in your life that you say, God, can you be my shepherd? You are the good shepherd. You died for your sheep. And the servant is not greater than his master. I don't want to die, but for your sake, I will
where
die.
I first saw the light and the burdens of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the day. At the cross, where I first saw the light and the bird.